Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Kirsten Aiken. Thai authorities say a Navy SEAL working to rescue boys trapped in a cave has died from a lack of oxygen. Anne Barker is at the entrance of the cave system. She joins me now. And what more is known about the circumstances of the diver's death?
Kirsten, we know that Petty Officer Saman Kunan was a retired Thai Navy SEAL who had volunteered his services as an expert diver, and he was one of the team that was working very late last night to deliver oxygen tanks along the 4 or 5 kilometres between the entrance of the cave to the chamber where these boys and their coach are trapped. He had apparently got at least a couple of kilometres in, possibly further, to the furthest reaches of that area, which apparently are the deepest parts of the cave complex. He was on his way back when he suddenly lost consciousness. His dive partner found him in the water unconscious, pulled him out and tried to revive him, but unfortunately he was taken to hospital nearby and died around 1 a.m. at local time.
And his death must have had a substantial impact on those working towards a rescue bid.
Absolutely. You'd have to think that it's really jolted morale for the other divers. There are at least 80 Thai divers who are leading this rescue attempt, plus many other divers who've come from the US, Australia, Britain and other countries. And today is the day that we're still hoping to hear that a rescue attempt has begun. But certainly it shows if it's dangerous for one of the best expert divers in the Thai Navy or an ex-Thai Navy SEAL, what would it be like for an 11-year-old boy or a 12-year-old boy who has only just learnt to use scuba diving equipment at the most basic level and can't even swim? Now, these are waters, of course, that are completely muddy. There's zero visibility. Whether that somehow had any impact on this ex-Navy SEAL's death, it's unclear. But we haven't heard yet whether this will delay any rescue attempts. But at the same time, there has been a bit of rain today for the first time in 2 days. The window to do this, when the rain has held off and there's minimum water levels in the cave, is today. If the rains begin as expected later tonight and tomorrow and those water levels start to rise, then it could be a different story. And
can you tell us about the information which is being provided to the community there, the boys' families and to the media gathered at the cave's entrance? Do you expect that everyone will be kept updated as to when that rescue mission begins?
Look, I'm standing literally 50 metres away from a tent where most of the relatives are being held. So I would imagine that somebody is keeping them very well informed as to when and if that rescue attempt will begin. What we, the media, have been told is that there is, I gather there's been a lot of progress made on getting a phone line put into the cave or the chamber where these boys are trapped. And also there has been a pipe taken all the way in to put oxygen into that chamber. Apparently the oxygen level in the chamber where the boys are trapped is down to 15%. Normally it should be about 21%. So there's been a lot of effort taking oxygen in. I'm also told that in the last 12 to 24 hours there have been efforts on the mountain above the cave to divert water streams away from the cave and somehow fill in all the crevices where water might seep down into the cave if indeed the heavy rains come. Now, I imagine the relatives of these boys are being told far more than we are being told, but that's certainly what we've been told today.
This must be an excruciating time for them. Do you have a sense of whether they are happy with what authorities are doing for their family members trapped in this cave?
I'm sure that they know that the authorities here are doing absolutely everything they possibly can to get these boys out. This has rallied Thais around the country, you know. There are more than 1,000 Thai soldiers, Navy SEALs that are part of this official rescue attempt. On top of that, you have hundreds of Thais who've come here from around the country to volunteer their services to support the crews doing all the work. They're providing food, free meals, medical services and so on. They also know that there will be this phone line set up that they can hopefully talk to their sons before the rescue attempt begins. For all I know, that may have happened already, but we just haven't heard yet. So I'm sure the Thai families know that the whole country is behind them and everything is being done to get these boys out safely.
And talk us through what will be done to get these boys out. I understand that some decisions have now been made about how the rescue will unfold once it begins.
That's right. A few days ago we were told that there were 4 possibilities, drilling into the cave from above, waiting out the rains, which would involve waiting till possibly November, waiting for the boys to be able to walk out, or the scuba diving effort, which is now the one we've been told is the most likely. Even though there are risks associated with all those options, this is perhaps the least risk, the least calculated risk that they have chosen. And also in the last couple of days while the rain has held off, they've managed to pump out vast amounts of water from the channels into where the boys are. The first 1.5 kilometres in, I gather, has been drained of a lot of water. The second 1.7 kilometres, I'm told, is much deeper, and that is in fact where I gather this ex-Navy SEAL died last night. There are still stretches where these boys would have a lot of trouble getting through, even with the help of expert divers, but they've managed to minimise the water flow at the moment, and they're doing all they can above the cave to stabilise, to divert that water away so they can stabilise the water levels inside if indeed it does rain.
And just finally, Anne, I understand that they have made some decisions about whether the boys will or won't wear scuba diving gear, and also how they will bring them out through the cave complex, not one at a time, but in a group.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's been a hard and fast decision, but I think it's being dictated by the conditions here because, if the heavy rains begin by tomorrow, given that it takes potentially 12 hours for somebody to go in and get the boys and then bring them out, we're talking about a lot of days if each boy was to come out separately. So I think the understanding is that maybe the quickest and safest and best option is to bring them out as a group but stagger them. So each boy and the coach would have potentially 2 or 3 SEALs to support him, one in front of him, one alongside, maybe one behind. At different air pockets along the way, there would be oxygen tanks strategically placed so that they have access to new air if they need it. And that would mean that if indeed they begin this rescue attempt soon, that in the best case scenario, it may be 12 to 18 hours that we could see the first boys emerge, hopefully alive.
That's our reporter Anne Barker keeping us updated with developments from that cave complex in northern Thailand.